Welcome back to The Man in the Middle. I'm your host, Bill West. We just got some new information from about Jon Schaffer and his trial. Let's go ahead and go to the website. This is off of metalinjection.net. Under Metal Crimes, Iced Earth Jon Schaffer working on cooperation deal with the government, according to leaked documents. This was not supposed to be public knowledge. This is by Greg Kennelty, published 4 hours ago. Federal prosecutors are allegedly working on insurrectionist and Iced Earth founder Jon Schaffer on a cooperation deal regarding his involvement in the January 6th riot at the Capitol. According to BuzzFeed News, the talks on a deal are in the advanced stages. Assistant U.S. Attorney Ahmed Bassett wrote that Schaffer's cooperation may reveal the existence, scope, and direction of the ongoing and confidential investigation. The public filing was made in error, according to BuzzFeed News, as prosecutors intended to file it under seal to avoid this sort of thing. Of the more than 350 people charged to date, some others have been arrested and offered similar plea offers. However, no specifics of the plea deals have been revealed. BuzzFeed News notes that the filing wrote that negotiations with Schaffer were the first and most advanced involving any of the over 300 Capitol riot defendants. A few weeks ago, a federal court upheld a pretrial detention order for Schaffer to remain in jail and offered new insight on what the government will be investigating. After Schaffer's bail was denied, his attorney filed a motion to amend detention order, claiming that the government failed to establish Mr. Schaffer's dangerous to that feels wrong, claiming that the government failed to establish Mr. Schaffer's dangerous to the community by clear and convincing evidence. That still feels wrong. Schaffer's attorney tried to make the case that Schaffer is no threat to society. Mr. Schaffer is 53 years old. He has no criminal convictions. He does not have a substance abuse or a mental health issue. He has no history of violence and was not violent on January 6, 2021. He entered the Capitol with pepper spray. He did not threaten anyone or discharge the spray. He left the Capitol after approximately 60 seconds and returned home to Indiana. A federal judge did not seem moved by the statement, as on March 24th, an order of detention pending trial was filed, saying that Schaffer must be detained until the trial because the government has proven by clear and convincing evidence that no condition or combination of conditions of release will reasonably assure the safety of any other person and the community. The order contains the first detailed account of Schaffer's actions from the government's point of view. In the order, the government makes the claim that Schaffer was among the first people to breach the Capitol building during the January 6 riots and questions his affiliations to the Oath Keepers. In response to the government's exhibit of Mr. Schaffer speaking in a rally in November 2020, Mr. Schaffer argues that he was simply explaining his political views. When asked about violence in the video interview, Mr. Schaffer responded that he didn't want violence, but that he was prepared to meet any violence with self-defense. In response to the video that shows him entering the Capitol, Mr. Schaffer argues he was only in the building for 60 seconds and only unholstered the bear spray in question because he thought somebody was trying to take it. Mr. Schaffer said he is not a flight risk because he voluntarily contacted his lawyer and surrendered himself. He is a high-profile musician and so would have difficulty fleeing. He has a stable girlfriend, stable residence, and a daughter. He is 52 years old with no criminal history or substance abuse problems. Mr. Schaffer argues the weight of the evidence is weak, as the government did not provide the evidence that he knowingly entered the Capitol building unlawfully. There is no evidence of violence presented, and Mr. Schaffer says he is not affiliated with the Oath Keepers. Mr. Schaffer is charged with carrying a dangerous weapon, bear spray, onto restricted Capitol grounds. His actions on January 6, 2021, during the certification of the Electoral College vote were shocking to the rule of law and the democratic process. As Chief Judge Howell noted in the United States v. Barnett, the title of the offense does not properly capture the scope of what the defendant is accused of doing here. In this case, there appears to be premeditation and a weapon present. Mr. Schaffer appeared in the video to be one of the first people to breach the Capitol. There is some evidence, and evidence is still being developed, that the defendant is affiliated with groups that present ongoing threats of danger to the community, e.g. the Oath Keepers. The government presented a number of exhibits at the detention hearing that show Mr. Schaffer was in Possession of bear spray. There is video of him clearly entering the Capitol and 3 police officers that appear to fall back in self-defense. Thus, it doesn't seem likely or reasonable Mr. Schaffer was under the impression that he was invited in by law enforcement. Mr. Schaffer has no criminal history and no documented history of substance abuse. He is employed and has a stable residence. It is true that he is within his rights to demonstrate and share his political views through lawful means. This case concerns unlawful means and of demonstration. Mr. Schaffer's status as firearms owner does not have any bearing, negative or positive, on this decision. While Mr. Schaffer is most likely not a serious flight risk due to his status as a well-known musician, there remains the concern of danger to the community. Mr. Schaffer's views on the government and current administration are long held. His statements, including the November 2020 interview, show that this was not an isolated event. He has stated there would be bloodshed if the current administration came to power. This transfer of power has taken place, so it cannot be assured Mr. Schaffer will not engage in further violence to support his political ideology if released. The government alleges that Mr. Schaffer is a lifetime member of the Oath Keepers, which is an organization that has questioned the legitimacy of the government and threatened political violence. Last, though Mr. Schaffer claimed he would only respond to violence in self-defense, there was no violence directed against him on January 6, 2021, yet he engaged in violent and destructive behavior when he entered the Capitol armed with a weapon. The FBI has charged Schaffer with 6 different charges, one of which accuses him of spraying Capitol Police with bear spray, a more potent form of pepper spray. Schaffer is not guaranteed bail and must prove that he is not a threat to himself or the public to be granted so. Schaffer is dealing with the following charges: knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority, disrupting the orderly conduct of government business, knowingly engaging in an act of physical violence against any person or property in any restricted building or grounds, violent entry and disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, engaging in an act of physical violence in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. Security footage has surfaced showing Iced Earth guitarist Jon Schaffer storming the Capitol building and getting into a shoving match with Capitol Police trying to stop the insurrection. Okay. If this is true, that he's getting a plea deal, this goes against everything I thought was going to happen. I really thought that they were going to make an example out of him and pretty much throw the book at him and bury him under the jail for years to come. It looks like they're actually working with him, so his deal might be, his whatever time he serves might be diminished. That's all I have for you right now. As I find the news, I will be posting it. So you guys, keep watching me. If you like what you've seen today, please give me that ever-beloved thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. And, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Talk to you soon. I'm Bill. I'm the man in the middle. I'm out.